What does this sign mean? So bus only, trains only, trams only. Okay, so that kind of like, I'm not sure if it's buses only. I haven't seen this sign actually. So my guess is this is probably a train. So I'm actually gonna go with trams. Yeah, and that's correct. The reason I'm saying tram is this doesn't look like a bus. It also doesn't look like a train. In this video, I'm going to be talking about a tool that is available for learner drivers, and it's one of those tools that I think if learner drivers can use it, it can actually improve their driving a lot, and also it will make their driving lesson a little bit more enjoyable, and you can start enjoying driving. This tool is one of those things that I think it's kind of like underused by learner drivers, but if someone can start actually using this tool by the time they get their learner's license, this can be a huge game changer in terms of driving lessons and even passing a practical driving test. So this is a tool that it's actually available in pretty much all of the states. I've checked around and most of the states, they actually have this tool, and this is an online quiz that you can do, which talks about basically road rules. So this is one of those quizzes that even myself sometimes, usually every now and then, I actually go back to that quiz and I do it to just make sure that I'm up to date with all the road rules. Especially for me, I'm out there training learner drivers, so I just want to make sure that I'm teaching them the right thing. And for those people who usually come to my lessons, this is actually something that I always give them questions about road rules, because if you don't understand road rules, that's gonna kind of like decrease your confidence. So it kind of like kills your confidence, because if you go for your driving lesson and your driving instructor asks you like, okay, these are two cars, which car goes first? And you don't know which car goes first, but then you're gonna start thinking, oh, I should have known this. And that's kind of like decreasing your confidence. So this is something that you can do. It's free of charge. There is no cost associated to this, and most of this stuff also you would have done it when you did your learner license, but it's one of those things that I think we as drivers, even experienced drivers, we should really go back and just redo this quiz, just to make sure that we are up to date with all the road rules, and we know this can actually reduce the crash risk as well. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually gonna do this quiz myself. So I haven't done this for a while now, but I'm gonna be doing this quiz. Hopefully I'm gonna get most of the questions correct. Obviously, being an instructor, I have a high expectation of myself to be able to do most of these questions correct, but you know, you never know. Let's see how we go. The one that I'm doing is the Queensland one, but in the future what I'm going to do, I'm actually gonna do another one where I kind of like do the Victoria one, because I had a quick browse and I actually think the Victoria one is a little bit more, even more challenging. And then eventually I also want to do the New South Wales one, but today I'm just gonna start with the Queensland one. So without further ado, I'm gonna straight away jump into the video. So the way you access this quiz is, I'm just gonna go ahead and say Queensland Transport Road Rule Quiz. Then I'm just gonna search that on Google, and once you search that, the first thing that comes up is actually that one. And then here we have the general test, you've got the motorcycle test, and then you have heavy vehicle test. So depending on what you drive, if you ride motorbikes or drive heavy vehicle, but most people who are watching this video, they're probably just gonna be doing general test, which is cars. So I'm gonna go ahead and select general test, and I'm gonna try and answer these questions as quick as I can, because if you think about it, if you are in a driving situation and you get to a situation on the road, you need to make up your mind. Most of the time we have to be able to make up our mind as quick as possible. So probably maximum for me should be like 30 seconds on a questions. Even 30 seconds will probably be a lot, but if you are doing this at home, you might need to take longer, but the more you do it, you should start to get faster at doing this, because if you are on the road, you don't really have that long to be able to make your decision. And if you haven't become familiar with the rules, the way you interact with other drivers, that's gonna be affected. So the first question, it says, which vehicle must give way? So here I see both cars, they are facing traffic lights, and I know that the first car B is going left and car A is going right. So the car which is turning left goes first. So which vehicle must give way? That means that vehicle A must give way. Okay, and then that's in this Queensland one. Basically, once you answer the question, it will tell you at the top there that your answer is correct. Also, it will give you a little bit of a explanation why vehicle A must give way, but I'm not gonna be reading these out when I'm doing this. I'm just gonna quickly straight away go to the next question. But if you're doing this on your own, you can just read those comments. They explain why the car A goes first. Next question, which vehicle A wants to turn right at an intersection with the green traffic lights? It should indicate and turn quickly, oncoming traffic must give way. Okay, so here we have a situation whereby there is no car coming from the opposite direction, but there are people crossing the road. So you shouldn't turn quickly. Wait for 5 seconds, then turn quickly. Not correct. Wait for the yellow lights. Oncoming traffic must stop and give way. Not correct. Give way to oncoming traffic and to pedestrian and cyclist crossing the road if it is turning. Crossing the road it is turning into. So that's the last one is the one that's correct. Okay, then I'm gonna go to the next one. This one says, you are driving vehicle A, you must give way to. So here we have these two cars. Again, it's a traffic light scenario, and they are both, one of them is going straight, the other one is going left, this one is going right. So you are driving vehicle A, you must give way to both cars, so vehicle B and vehicle C. Okay, next one, you are driving vehicle A, you must give way to. So both cars here, they are facing stop signs, and this car is on kind of like a continuous street. So you are driving vehicle A, so that means that you must give way to vehicle B and C if you are driving vehicle A. So vehicle B and C. Okay, and then we go to the next one. Here, what does this sign mean? So this one, it's important to know this, because if you read these are kind of like recommended signs. So road ends ahead, that's not correct. End of divided road, not correct. Building ahead. Okay, it's actually the second one. It's end of divided road. That sounds good. Okay, next one. What does this sign mean? So here we have a truck, probably road works, some truck entering. So it says give way to trucks. Trucks may be crossing or entering. Light trucks only permitted. So that's B, because trucks may be crossing or entering. That's why they usually put those signs, and those are advisory signs. Next one, this one I already know, so that means stop sign ahead. So I usually see these ones everywhere. One-way street ahead, not correct. Stop sign ahead, definitely that one. Pedestrian crossing ahead, and not correct. Property road ahead, so it's the stop sign ahead. Next one, This one also I already know, so that means there is a 40. This is a 40 kilometers per hour recommended at the bend. So I'm just gonna read. 40 kilometers per hour is the legal maximum speed limit for the curve ahead when the road is wet. So that's not correct, because that's actually not a legal speed. 40 kilometers per hour is advised maximum speed for the curve ahead under good driving conditions. So this is correct. You can only turn right for the next 40 kilometers. Definitely that's not right. Winding road for the next 40 kilometers. So that's the second one is the correct answer. Okay, so that's correct. Next one, it says which vehicle must give way. So here we have a situation whereby this one also we normally see it a lot on the road. We have car B, which is kind of like going left. That's usually considered a left turn because it's facing a give way sign. Car A is like on this road, which is kind of like continuing. So which vehicle must give way? So car B has to give way to car A. And then next one, you are driving vehicle A, you must give way to. So you are driving vehicle A, you're facing a give way sign. That means you have to give way to these two cars. So I'm just gonna find no one, the other vehicles must give way to you. Not correct, because there's a give way sign. Vehicle C only, vehicle B only. So here we need to give way to both vehicles. So which is vehicle B and C. Okay. All right, that's correct. Next one. You are driving vehicle A, you must give way to. So here we have a scenario whereby we are driving this car. Now this is a T intersection. This blue car is coming from the bottom of the T intersection. And even though we don't have any give way sign, by default, that's actually a give way sign. So that means you are driving vehicle A, you just need to give way to vehicle B only. So just vehicle B. Okay. Okay, so that's correct. And here they give you a nice explanation why vehicle B. And then next one, this looks like the same question that kind of like came back, but it says which vehicle goes first. So we have a giveaway sign, we have vehicle B, so they changed the scenario and say which vehicle goes first. So that means vehicle A actually goes first. So if we are driving vehicle A, we have to keep moving. Okay, so that's correct. The next one, which vehicle must give way? So here we have a situation whereby vehicle A is cutting across vehicle B's path. There is no giveaway signs. Both cars are not facing any giveaway signs. So which vehicle must give way? That means vehicle A has to give way to vehicle B. And then we go to the next one. When turning right at an intersection and facing this sign, you should. So you are facing this sign, that means you need to give way to oncoming traffic. Let's read this statement and see which one is correct. Come to a complete stop and then give way to all vehicles and pedestrians. Okay, so maybe not quite. Give way only to traffic on your right. Again, not quite. Slow down and prepare to give way to traffic crossing your path and pedestrians crossing the road you are turning into. So that's correct, because the first statement is almost correct, but because it says come to a complete stop, we don't come to a complete stop at the giveaway sign unless there are cars approaching. So that third statement is actually correct. Okay, so that's correct. And again, they give us more explanation here of what why we have to do why we have to slow down and be prepared to give way to traffic crossing our path and pedestrians crossing the road we are turning into. Next one, what does this sign mean? So this is also, I see this a lot. This means that we have to keep left of the sign. Okay, no right turn, one-way traffic, left turn only sign, keep to the left of the sign. So this is the particular sign which a number of students actually they fail because of this sign. So this is why I can quickly identify this, is because I know a lot of students actually fail because they see this sign and they don't know what it means. Okay, next one. So also this sign, I already know it. It means that it's a two-way street. So what does this sign mean? Again, a lot of students, they mess up on this sign here. They see this sign and they kind of like don't know what it means, but that means a two-way road. So even if it's a narrow road, we still need to make sure it's a two-way road. We have to keep to the left. So here it says no U-turn allowed, not correct. No right turn or left turn, not correct. No parking. And then the last one is a correct statement, which says vehicles travel in both directions on this road. Okay, submit. So that's correct. The next one. And then this one, it says, what does this sign mean? So again, this one, I see it a lot everywhere. So that means a roundabout. Let's read these statements here and say, turning area for heavy vehicles, give way, not correct. U-turn allowed, not correct. No right turn, not correct. Give way to vehicles on the roundabout. So that means roundabout. Okay, so that's correct. Okay, then we go to the next one. All right, this is an interesting one. You are driving vehicle A from private property. You must give way to. So we are driving vehicle A. When we are coming from a private property and we are entering a road, we have to give way to both these cars. So car B and C, we must give way to car B and C, which is the last statement. So not car B only, and then also not no one, the other vehicles must give way. That's also wrong. We have to make sure we give way to these cars, the car B and then car C. The next one, also that's correct. So here we also have an interesting one. At a railway crossing with the boom gate down and red lights flashing, you must wait until the red lights stop flashing before driving on. Drive on once the boom gates begin to rise. That's wrong, because if sometimes the boom gate rises and the red lights, they are still flashing. Drive around the boom gates once the train has passed. So it's the first statement. Drive around, no, that's wrong as well. The last one is the wrong one. Okay, so the first one is the correct one. We need to wait until the lights, they stop flashing before we drive on. Okay, so that's correct. Okay, next one. Oh, that's interesting one. I don't know, I think bus or something. What does this sign mean? So bus only, trains only, trams only. Okay, so that kind of like, I'm not sure if it's buses only. I haven't seen this sign actually. So my guess is this is probably a train. So I'm actually gonna go with trams. Yeah, and that's correct. The reason I'm saying tram is this doesn't look like a bus. It also doesn't look like a train, because anyway, there is usually trains, there will be like a boom gate. So the trams, that makes sense. Okay, and the next one, you are driving vehicle A on a multi-lane road. The road changes from multi-lane to single lane and you need to merge with other traffic. There are no lane markings. Okay, this is a popular scenario here that we usually see. So what's happening here, whoever is ahead goes first. So this one I already know because I teach this every day, but this is something that a lot of learner drivers, they kind of like get confused with as well. So here, let's read these statements. You should give way to vehicle B because it is traveling ahead of you, and vehicle C should give way to you because you are traveling ahead of it. Okay, you are driving vehicle A. All right, okay, I see. You should give way to vehicle B because it is traveling ahead of you. So that makes sense. You have to give way to both vehicle B and C because they are on your right. Not correct. both vehicles B and C have to give way to you. So that first one is correct one, because you should actually give way to vehicle B because it's ahead. The car which is ahead goes first in this case because there's no lane markings. If there were lane markings, this would be a little bit of a different story. So the first one. Okay, so that's correct. And then we go next. You are driving vehicle A. In what direction must you travel? This is important. This is actually very good, because a lot of learner drivers, again, they fail in this for things like this. Very simple things. Because these markings are there, this means that the left lane, we have to turn left. You can only turn left. Okay, so it says turn left and turn left only. Turn left only when there is traffic in the other lane. Turn left or go straight ahead. Go straight ahead. Okay, so these two looks kind of similar, but turn left only, you have to turn left when you are in this lane. Turn left only only when there is traffic in the other lane. Yeah, so you have to go left. Yeah, so turn left only. So that's correct. Okay. Next one. When doing a U-turn, who must give way to you? Who must you give way to? Who must you give way to? Okay, when doing a U-turn, actually, when you are doing a U-turn, you actually have to be giving way to everybody. So that includes pedestrians. So oncoming vehicle only, that's not correct. All vehicles, pedestrians, and cyclists. So that looks like that's the correct answer. Pedestrians and cyclists only. So this one is important as well. If you are doing a driving test, or even if you're not doing a driving test, basically if you are doing a U-turn, you have to give way to pedestrians, cyclists, and vehicles. So here the second one. Okay, so that's correct. So far we're doing not too bad actually. Are you permitted to drive a vehicle with unsecured load? Definitely not. Okay, it says only if you travel with your hazard lights on. Not quite. Only if you display a warning sign. Not quite. No. Only if you travel at less than 40 kilometers per hour. Not quite. So you have to secure your load when you are driving. It says there, as a driver, you have a legal responsibility to ensure that all loads carried to your vehicle are securely strained. So we have to secure the load before when we're traveling. Okay, next one. If you are involved in a crash causing minor damage to the vehicle but no one is injured, you must. Okay, this one is an interesting one. You must stop and give your details to the other driver of the other vehicle only if you caused the crash. Actually, you have to exchange the details. Stop at the crash and exchange driver and vehicle details with the other driver of the other vehicle. So that one sounds good. Continue driving on. No one has been injured, but obviously you've caused minor damage. So there's been minor damage, even if we didn't cause it, but we have to stop. Stop only during daylight hours. So that second one is probably the correct thing to do. Next one. When traffic lights turn from green to yellow, you should green to yellow. Stop even if you must stop on the intersection and then reverse back to the stop line. Not quite. Definitely not. Stop if you can do so safely before reaching the stop line. So I think that sounds good. Stop even if you are in the intersection. Not quite. Speed up and go through the lights before they turn red. So this one is important. If we have enough time, we actually have to stop. But if we don't have time to stop, we need to go through, otherwise we're gonna end up stopping in the middle of the intersection, and actually reversing usually is a little bit dangerous, and it actually kind of like gets messy. So we need to make sure that stop if we can do so safely before reaching the stop line. Okay, so that's correct. Next one. So here it says, on approaching this sign at an unsupervised children's crossing, you must. So it says children crossing. This one we just need to probably slow down. We don't need to stop, I think. Okay, let's read this and see which one is correct. So we must stop and remain stopped while any pedestrian or cyclist is on or entering the crossing. Okay, slow down until pedestrian and cyclists are clear of your vehicle. Stop and remain stopped for children only. Okay, so this is an interesting one, because here we have a situation whereby any pedestrian or cyclist is on or entering the crossing. So if there is pedestrians or cyclists, they've already entered the crossing. I think that first statement makes sense. If we slow down, we can put the pedestrian probably in danger, because we will probably be the car will still be moving. So the best thing to do probably will be to stop if there's pedestrians or cyclists present. So I'll probably go with the first one, and it's actually correct. And it explains here. It says, at an unsupervised children's crossing displaying children crossing flags, you must stop at the stop line if there are any pedestrians or cyclists on or entering the crossing. You must not move into the crossing until all pedestrians and cyclists have reached the footpath. Okay, so that's it. That's one of those you see sometime when you're driving near schools. Next one, so that's 28. So hopefully we can get 30 out of 30. You are at a cross intersection you are at a cross intersection without signs, road markings, or traffic lights. A cyclist is approaching from your right. Okay, so this is at a cross intersections without signs, road markings, or traffic lights. So this one is kind of like almost like a roundabout. The cyclist must slow down so that you can continue. You must give way to the cyclist. Actually, we must give way to the cyclist because the cyclist is approaching from the right hand side. If you wave the cyclist on, you should wait for them to pass. Otherwise, the cyclist should wait for you. Maybe that will cause confusion. The cyclist must stop for you. So that cyclist is actually approaching from the right hand side. So because it's approaching from the right, they go first. And there's no stop signs at the crossroad. These are usually these type of crossroads, they are found in urban areas. So most of them crossing you're gonna come across on your driving test, they're gonna be marked with giveaway signs or stop signs. And if you don't have giveaway signs or stop signs, you should actually keep going. But sometimes if you're driving in urban areas, you come across places whereby there is no giveaway signs or stop signs. So in that case, you have to give way to your right. So I think this one is correct. Okay, so that's correct. Okay, here also we can read this one quickly. Cyclists are road users with the same rights and responsibility as large vehicles. When you come to an uncontrolled crossroad intersection, you must give way to vehicles on your right, which includes cyclists. So you have to give way to your right, basically, because there's no giveaway signs. Next one. What is the legal BAC? So that's a blood alcohol concentration for a learner or provisional license holder. Okay, a learner driver or a P plate. So if you've got a P plate or you've got a learner license, you are allowed 0. You have to have 0 alcohol in your system. Otherwise, you're gonna get a fine. Okay, so that is correct. And I think this is the last question. Are two cyclists allowed to ride side by side on the road? Yes, they are actually allowed to ride side by side. So two cyclists can actually ride side by side. Basically, I think it says here, as long as they are more than 2 meters apart. So if a cyclist is like, there was the previous question, a cyclist is considered as a road user, is a road user as well. So basically what that means is, usually if you're driving a car, you need to leave 1.5 meter from the car, from the cyclist, or maybe sometime if the speed is less than 60, 1 meter is also allowed. But two cyclists also, they can ride alongside each other as long as they are maintaining that 1.5 meter, I think. Yeah, I think I've read this somewhere, so, and that is correct. So basically, so I've done that quiz here, and I've got all the answer correct. So I've got 30 out of 30, which is, I think, is pretty good. So anyway guys, this is a challenge for you. Go on the website, do this quiz, especially those of you who are doing your practical driving test. You are going to be, if you go for your driving test and you pass the test, you're gonna take the responsibility of driving a car. So if you don't know some of these road rules, basically it doesn't mean that, you might be ready, but it's a good idea. This will put you in a good spot. If you know some of these rules, it will kind of like increase your confidence, and you're not gonna be too nervous when you come to a crossroad, a roundabout. You're gonna be familiar with the rules. You obviously have to apply the rules, it's a different story, but at least you won't be too nervous when you're approaching like a crossroad or a T-intersection, a roundabout. You're gonna know some of these rules. Another thing that I need to point out as well with this is, every time you do this quiz, it actually refreshes and gives you new questions. So like now, if I say take another test, it's actually gonna refresh and it's gonna give me new questions. So this is probably something that to keep in mind. So if you're doing this quiz now, it's probably a good idea to redo the quiz again. So in the future video, what I want to do, I want to kind of like do another test, but this time I'm gonna try and do a Victoria test, and also at some point I'm gonna go ahead and do the New South Wales test. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and if you did enjoy watching this video, you can give the video a thumbs up, and if you have any questions, you can leave the questions in the comments down below. If you are doing a driving test soon, I wish you the best of luck. See you in the next video.